Hello, folks. This is your host, Tammy Tuckey, and you are now listening to the Tiara Talk Show. We bring you rare interviews with the makers of Disney magic. Whether they be singers, actors, Imagineers, animators, they have all made their mark on the Disney name. Be sure to check out the show notes, other episodes, contests, our social media pages from Facebook to Twitter, and more on our official website at www.thetiaratalkshow.com. Are you looking to plan and book an upcoming Disney vacation? Contact the Tiara Talk Show's official travel agent, James from Destinations in Florida, by visiting destinationsinflorida.com/tiara for a free quote. The link is also included in the show notes on our website. All guest opinions are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the opinions of the Tiara Talk Show or the host. The Tiara Talk Show is not associated with the Disney Company. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. And from all of us here at the Tiara Talk Show, have a hoop-de-doo day.
Come on, see the finest girl in France. Make an entrance to entrance. Dance la Esmeralda.
This week at the Tiara Talk Show, we welcome back our Cast Member Corner segment, in which we speak to past or current cast members of the Disney theme parks from around the world. This week, I'd like to welcome former Walt Disney World character actress Laura Elise to the show. Welcome, Laura.
Thanks, Tara.
This is so exciting to talk to you today. Believe it or not, folks, as I had somebody on our show previously a few weeks ago, which was Emma Jacobs. She was actually on my home videotapes, and believe it or not, I don't know how it came to be, but some of my mutual Facebook friends were friends with you, Laura, and you are on my videotapes as Esmeralda in the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Which is so exciting because I'm going to need to get you to send that to me.
How did you kind of come about working for Walt Disney World?
Well, that's a great question, and it's not something I had planned on doing. I was already making my living as a singer. I had record deals, and I toured with bands, and I did musicals and operas and all that kind of stuff. And I was in Orlando. I'd been hired for a workshop of a new musical that was supposed to go to Broadway. And in the midst of the workshop, they ran out of money, and a bunch of the chorus members said, Laura, you'd be such a great Esmeralda. And I said, oh, well, yeah, I don't really do the whole theme park thing. And they said, okay, Snobberella, come see the show and see what you think. And so I went and I saw Hunchback, and I was in tears at the end. And I was like, okay, that was fantastic, and that looks like the most fun thing in the world. I would totally do that. And so I went and auditioned, and I got the part and started working, and spent about a year and a half doing the role. And it was probably 18 of the best months of my entire life. It was just the most fun experience I ever had.
You have a lot of people participating in that show. It's not
it was mayhem backstage. I mean, controlled mayhem, and just so brilliantly staged. I mean, the fact that they crammed an entire movie into a 35-minute show, it blew me away every day how we were able to do it. And it was controlled chaos. For
and
sure.
Great characters too. Esmeralda is such a strong Disney heroine. Seeing her on stage was just another dream for me. And so Esmeralda has this big wig. Did that ever fall off? Because you have to do all these dances as Esmeralda. And
no, well, that wig is a whole story unto itself. So it was a two-piece wig. So you had the main part of the wig, then the mic was actually placed on top of my head, and then the second hairpiece snapped on top of it. So the mic was on top of my head. The whole thing weighed about 5 pounds. It was a really heavy wig, and it was pinned in there. I had lots of, they had amazing wig people at the show. So, they showed me how to do the right kind of pin curls to then stick the wig into the pin curls. But I have to tell you a funny story. After I'd been doing the show, I don't know how long it was, 6 months, 9 months or something, I noticed that I had 2 little bald spots on right next to my temples.
Oh, no.
And I had to work at changing up where I put the bobby pins in. But no, it never fell off. Never even came close. It was stuck on there.
Did you get a chance to ever meet kids maybe behind the scenes or in the audience after everybody kind of basically left? Just have a little small meet and greets?
Yes, and that was hands down. I mean, there are a million things I loved about this experience, but hands down, the most awesome part about it was twofold. One, the show really became like the show for kids with all kinds of challenges, including terminally ill children. So we had lots of visitors from Make-A-Wish Foundation, where we'd get to meet with the families after the show, and which was always incredibly difficult because you didn't want to cry in front of them, so you had to stay like up, and we'd get through it. And it was just so, the families were always so amazing and positive and wonderful and loving, and the kids, of course, just you would have done anything to make them smile, and they loved it. And then anytime a little girl came dressed as Esmeralda to the show, I could radio the backstage guys and say, bring her back after. And that moment when you see it on the commercials, right? I wasn't a character out in the park, so I never got this experience anywhere else. But, the little girl would round the corner and I'd go down on one knee and she'd run up and jump on me and hug me. And, and sometimes they'd be like, I have your doll and I have your movie and I was you for Halloween, And so in that moment, I am Esmeralda to this little girl. And it was just the most special, incredible honor. Hands down the best part about the entire experience.
So was The Hunchback the only show you got to work on at Walt Disney World? Or
I did not go on to do other shows because I was leaving when my contract was up, or when the show was closing. I decided to come home to Los Angeles. My whole family's here, but there are a few different really fun events that I sang at. I can't remember what they were for really, but neat like corporate things and just special events where we got to do shows, and those were really fun because then the characters would always be there and it would always make me laugh. As a woman in my 30s, I still would just like giggle like a 6-year-old whenever anybody came around in their Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse costume, even if I knew the person inside of it, it still was so exciting. So,
and I love Hunchback because the music is just gorgeous. Did you have a favorite song besides Esmeralda's God Help the Outcasts?
Oh yeah, what was the first one, the Quasi's first song?
Heaven's Light
Out
There. Out There. Okay.
Out There was, I loved it. That was that. I'd be backstage warming up, to that one, and loved that song.
Did you ever get to keep one of the Quasimodo heart cards? Because for audiences listening who don't really remember this, Quasimodo has a heart card, and during the middle of the performance, he rips it when Esmeralda kisses Phoebus. So did you ever get your own and keep it?
I didn't, but I will tell you a fun fact that we were all very mischievous in the show, and lots of Quasis took turns writing very funny things on the cards to try to break me up so that I would start laughing during that part of the show. And anything that could happen did, to everyone. I mean, there was always so much going on that you couldn't see. I mean, I had things from, it was an outdoor theater. So one of my personal favorites was the show during which I was singing and some bug flew straight into my mouth and like hit the back of my throat. That was a precious moment. Then this is my very first show, Phoebus broke my finger during the fight.
What? Oh my goodness!
Where we were fighting, he has the sword and I have the candelabra.
Yes.
Well, the sword landed right on my pinky finger and broke it. In fact, I have a hilarious picture of myself after the first week of rehearsals. I look like I've been hit by a bus. I have so many bruises, and I've got the cast on my on my finger. Oh yeah, it was an extremely physical, crazy show. Like I said, real controlled chaos backstage. You can't imagine what was going on back there. It was really great. Some of my favorites were Tom Vazana, who was, he was one of the gargoyles, and then he also played he was also the friar, and he had a favorite thing where, there's a scene when I'm in the cathedral and having the little conversation with him, and he would always, the audience couldn't see his face. So he was another one who would be making the most hilarious faces trying to make me laugh. We spent a lot of time trying to make each other laugh. Not very professional, but very, very fun.
Did you get to meet any celebrities during your time working for the show that they would come in?
Yeah, I know John Cicada was there one time. He had that song, I don't want to sit. And then we met with him after.
Did Demi ever come during one of your performances?
Was my
and we're talking about Demi Moore too, by the way, the voice of Esmeralda.
Yeah. No, I know she came in the beginning, but I didn't get to meet her, no. It was such a great show, and it touched so many people so deeply that I wish they would bring it back too. There was this darling little man who used to come to the show like once a week, and he would take pictures with this fantastic camera during the whole show, and he would bring us the pictures every week. We had the most wonderful fans. He would bring the pictures for us. So I have like a giant box of pictures from dozens of shows that I did. And the hilarious ones were from the summer where I literally look like I'm melting. Like I'm so covered in sweat. I don't know how the makeup stayed on our faces, but I literally look like I'm melting. Yeah, it was hot during the summer, let me tell you.
Let's go on to some fun Disney questions. I call them my Fab 3. I ask them to all of my guests, so I know, right? So we'll start with the Donald one. So the Donald one is, as a child, what Disney film would you always like to watch over and over again?
That's a hard question. You know, I was always a sucker for Cinderella.
And our Goofy question, what Disney character do you think would be your best friend if you met them in person?
What Disney character would be my best friend? Probably Goofy, because I'm such a goofball.
And our Mickey question, if I asked you to name any Disney song at this very moment, what immediately comes to mind?
You know, Beauty and the Beast is probably my favorite.
Well, I have to thank you so much for coming on the show, Laura. And if you could sum up your experience working for the Disney company with one word, what would that be?
Oh, very cliche, but magical.
Children of God.
There's 10 of you and 1 of me. What's a poor girl to do?